You wanted a nice, quiet evening at the Spa. You get what you give 'em, bitch. Good evening, everybody. And we are season 27, race 3 of the Lights Out League Racing. My name is Alex, and we, of course, at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And I jest, I don't have a girlfriend to tell off. I asked Siri earlier why I'm single. He activated up and opened up the front camera. Shameful, shameful. We are race 3. Had a fantastic race at last week, and Theo got his first win. Fantastic, which shot him up the table. Amity still leads the way, but it's only a smidge ahead of Caps Lock, who is had a fantastic storming start to the season. Hello, Phil. Nice to see you, my friends. Cheering on Callum today. Phil joined us for 1 or 2 races last season, and is a great lad, and is watching with intent. Daft Chip is watching as well. He does not want to be disappointed. And today is something a little bit different. It is a season of specials as we end the F124 quota, and someone has already ready it up. I was going to say it is a one-shot quali session followed by 100% race. Dynamic weather, so we do not know what is going to happen with that. It's a dry quali, thankfully, but if no Spa, then there might be a little bit of rain in the air for the race. And it is a one-shot quali, so we'll jump on for a hot lap, and we're on with Catamese as he runs down to turn 1 of La Source, a slow hairpin, and hopefully nobody gets bundled up in the drama of the first lap as he runs down to turn 2 and 3 of Eau Rouge. Very tricky corner, elevation of 30 metres. Coming out of the exit of Radion onto the Kemmel Straight, just over a kilometre, where it's going to be the main overtaking stretch of the lap, and a sharp, hard braking zone as we head into the Coombe, where you've got to be precise with your corners. As we exit turn 7 of Malmedy, downhill down to Brussels, but it's another tight hairpin where 1 or 2 might try and overtake on the inside. And the exit now of turn 9, going downhill of corner No Name. Want to avoid the gravel, which he nearly goes flying, but managed to keep it on the track, and it's dropped him down the order. You can see Callum is leading the way, with Caps Lock just behind. Tricky corner around Pouillon, where I'll be cheering on Big Racky to not go wide, which he did a lot in practice. Round Piff Path, and then down to turn 14 of Stavlot, where you don't want to go too wide again. There's no runoff areas, you are in the gravel, and you will be out of the race potentially. Foot down, it's basically a straight, there's no DRS down here, down Blanchimont of turn 16 and 17, where we'll probably see a lot of overtaking as well. And coming down to the end of the lap, heading towards the bus stop chicane, where I sat and watched when I went to Spa. As a little bit of a tricky exit, as Callum takes pole with a 41.6. Catamese, as we're watching, ends up in P13 just behind his teammate. I don't know what's happened with, I think Theo's invalidated his lap, which means he's going to be trying to do a last to first. I think he'll be kicking himself, but that is the drama of a one-shot quali. So as I said, Callum back with us. He's missed the first couple of races, but takes his first pole of the season with a 41.6. Got quite a few poles last race. Half a second ahead of Amadi in P2, Caps Lock P3, Portuguese P4, Marty P5, fantastic qualifying from him, Baraki P6, Terry's P7, Jack's P8, Lennon 9, and Keys around off the top 10. Elite Dave P11, Cats 12, Catamese 13, Big Racky 14th, Jalaka 15th, and then Theo invalidating his lap, and P16 for him, and we'll be starting at the rear. Let's hope. Apparently the Geordies smashed the Scousers. We haven't heard about that enough already. And the race is starting a little bit overcast, as the drivers now will be sorting out their strategies and fuel loads for the race. It's going to be quite a tricky one. Will we see any drips of rain today? And a little bit. I couldn't tell you. I'd probably go for fuel Portuguese, maybe a couple of laps over. It depends if you're expecting a safety car, but you might have to do a lot of lift and coasting. And Phil, your goat gets his P1. Yeah, if it was me, I'd probably start on hards, expecting an early safety car, but it's a long way to go, 44 laps. Theo's doing 0.2 over, so he's expecting a potential safety car. I have to use line. I'm not that good. I have to use line. Only corners only, though. Yeah, true. He's got some skills. He should be. He did say last season that he was going to go with no line, but I think he's bottled. Maybe new game. It's a new game. Target. If you're having corners on, it's because he's a liar. He's basically having line on. He's basically being like a fart to a shit fire. You're going in with a whimper. So drivers are sorting out their strategies. I'd probably start on hards if it was me. Expecting a potential early safety car with the drivers bustling on turn 1. We will have. I can't ban him. He's part of the admin team, and he hasn't done anything too bad, apart from lying and cheating apparently. And he will lead us round on the hot lap, and we'll have a look on people's strategies. And it's quite a bit of a mixture. So Marty and Lennon both going by advice and starting on the hards. Majority starting on the mediums, but 1 or 2 looking racy on the start. So Amadi, currently P2, starting on softs at the start. Then the bottom 5 all going on softs as well, so wanting to make an early move. Very, very interesting. So Spa-Francorchamps, it's a 7-kilometre clockwise circuit, 19 corners, 9 to the right and 10 to the left, with 2 DRS zones, 1 down the Camel and 1 down the start-finish straight. And Callum looks like he's the one to beat. First race of the season for him, missed the first 2, he was away. And I think his teammate Lennon will be very happy to see him. Portuguese in the second Mercedes. Matt stepped down and Portuguese has taken the seat now, so he's joining Kiesegees, and Kiesegees will be super happy for that. A little bit rusty, he said today, and shown there on the formation lap. Keep it on track, lad. Keep it on track. Another newbie today, Elite Dave in the Visa RB. And again, Picnic is unfortunately unable to join us for the races, just out of his schedule. So Elite Dave will be taking up the full-time seat alongside Ox, who unfortunately missing today. RIP to a couple of others as well. We're missing Dan Morris in the Ferrari, so Dark will have to go alone. We're missing Ox, like I mentioned. And who else are we missing? Cygate. So Amadi in the Red Bull. I'm just trying to get as maximum points as possible. And on board, or Benji as we know it. Missing in the Williams, so Marty going strong for the W boys, and he'll be aiming for a fastest lap today. As Callum now leads us down Blanchimont, and Amadi joining on the front row, Caps Lock P2. Apparently, strategy says you can do soft to mediums, but we'll see. I think the tyre wear is just going to be too much. Crazy. I think they're going to wear down. They're going to be so flat. They're going to be like they're going to be like flat tits, like soft egg tits. They'll be so flat. Getting into their grid slots now. Callum on pole. It's a 165 metre run down to turn 1. It's going to be interesting to see how everyone takes turn 1. Advise, be cautious. It's a long way to go. You can't win it on turn 1, the old cliche. As everyone just climbs in the grid box. Big Raki, he's missed his slot. It does look like rain clouds, and we're all fingers crossed. The rain gods have been dancing. As it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's lights out, and away we go. And Callum's got a good launch off the line, points his car immediately towards Amadi, who'll have to let him go. Caps lock, a bit of bumping in the apex, but everyone looks like they made it through. A little bit of collision around the kick salvers at the back. But everyone looks like they've made it. A bit of carbon fibre was flying off, but no one's lost a wing, thankfully. And everyone's made it through the first Eau Rouge. Brilliant. A little bit wide there from Jax Daniels. A little bit of wheel bumping, but everyone looks like they're making through his Cats. Jumps Keys to Giza up to P10. And this precise driving from everyone through Lacombe's. As I said, that the RB of Elite's gone off. And I think he's lost some carbon fibre, and also Lennon. And still got his M plate. I think Caps has lost an M plate as well. So they'll probably pit early. But there's 44 laps in this race, so a long way to go. As Big Racky gets past his teammate. Jalak with a little bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment. As Catamese gets past Keys Giza. As I said that, he just went off track, so probably have to give the place back. Would have gained advantage going off wide, maybe. Keys will argue, but it's probably not worth it at this stage of the race. First lap dramas and all that. As Amadi has got ahead on those soft tyres. And currently the championship holders, you're probably well aware, and will be wanting to keep that crown as long as possible. Currently leads the way as Jax gets past Terry's up to P7, down the bus stop. We've got a yellow flag further back. Keezer now jumps into the pit, followed by Cat, because Keezer got wing damage. Big Graphic carries on, and Elite Day goes in as well, as with Darky and Jax battling hard. So Keezer immediately going onto a different tyre strategy. Interesting call for him, he didn't have any wing damage. Cax is getting a new wing, and I think Elite Dave will as well. He does, and jumps onto the hard tyres. So early pit stops, open for a safety car to get them back in play, but it's not all out of it as Jackson Marty on Lacombe's. Jax has to go off the track, which allows Marty through, and Darky taking advantage of Jax going offline. Getting himself up to P6 and looking very racy on his first couple of laps, going a little bit wide. And Darky keeping his car on the track, thankfully. Terry's making it up to P7, going inside of Darky, but allowing Darky to go through and getting his car back in play. It can be very tricky, especially when you lose a little bit traction with this wheel-to-wheel racing. A slight tap, and it can cause a little bit of drama, which we found with Catanese and Keezer last week. As Marty now under threat from Jax, side by side going down Blanchimont. Marty still has the position, but Darky's looking on the inside of Jax. Has Jax seen him? I hope so. And Darky trying to take two places as well on the outside of bus stop. Very well defended there from Martin, struggling to get these hard tyres switched on, and Jax has just gone off slightly offline. Just keeping ahead of Terry's. Theo now up to P9 from the back of the grid. With Jax ahead of Terry's on the inside, and Darky, first one to get a track's limit. As Theo has done himself off ahead of Terry's. Oh, on Eau Rouge, and brave driving from both there, going side by side. Catanese run through as Terry's had to go a little bit offline to avoid colliding with Theo. Catamese making use of DRS and his setup, getting himself up to P8 ahead of Theo. With Jalaka using the same strategy and getting himself ahead of Lennon as well. The hard tyre strategy not paying off for some. As Jalaka, I think, has gone off. He has, and I think he's hit the wall. Can't see him. He's had a safety car. It's not. He's got himself going. Don't go backwards too much. You'll get disqualified again. Not beached quite yet, and he's hit the wall, and I think that's it, and safety car is out for Jalaka. I think he couldn't get his car turned in time, and he's lost his wheel. That's unfortunate. And for the drivers at a pit, it brings them back in play, and they'll be happy to see that. What will the guys on the soft tyres do? We've lost Jalaka. Will they pit, or will they stay out? It'd be an interesting call. Amadi leads the way. It'd be interesting call for everybody, really, to see what goes on. Amadi does go in. Callum goes through. Capslot goes through. Portuguese goes through. Marty will obviously go through. It'd be silly for him to pit now. Catanese pits, so expected. Theo goes in as well, that's expected. Lennon is getting off these hard, so maybe the hard tyres are just struggling to get them switched on. Big Racky goes in too and gets off those soft tyres. And then we'll see Keys, Cats and Elite Dave. And 10-second penalty for Portuguese for colliding with Caps Lock. Oh my God. Under the safety car. Oh, crab pace. Silly move. As Keys is going in again, Cats is going in again, and Dave will going in again. Interesting call. An interesting call. So, he's getting off the tyres. So I think these hard tyres are just absolutely terrible, but Marty capitalising up to P4 now on those hards. Him and Catamese the only ones on them now. Catamese will probably try and get to the end of the race on them, knowing Catamese. But everyone else now on the medium, so I think medium's probably the better racing tyre. Callum leading the way after the pits. Armady down to P8. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on from there. Spa, of course, one of the OG tracks from the original 1950 calendar, and it's one of my favourite tracks personally. It was alongside another 7 other tracks: Silverstone, Monaco, Indianapolis, Monza, French Grand Prix, and Bremgarten in Switzerland, which you haven't seen for a while. And the original track was actually built in 1921. They used public roads between towns of Francorchamps, Malmedy and Stavelot. And it's actually a length of 14.9 kilometres. Can you imagine? It's the longest track on the circuit as it is. It got hard when they changed it and they redeveloped it in 1979. It's just such a traditional circuit, purpose-built circuit, and we've got 1 or 2 going in. Portuguese getting rid of that penalty makes sense, and it's clever driving, but he will lose plenty of places, but there's a long way to go, so it's not too bad. As Lennon going in again, Cat's going in again. What are these guys doing? Are they colliding? Wing change for Lennon, and what's happening with the Cats? Lennon going on some fresh mediums. Have they collided with the car in front? No, have not had a wing change. Oh God. If you're colliding with people in there, you're under a safety car. It's pretty useless for that. It's you're much used to Zam Frank's drum kit. Terrible. So safety car potentially in this lap, we'll see, but Callum leads away. Capslot going strong in P2. Got P3, P2 on the first 2 laps of the race. And as like I said at the start, an absolute storming start to the season. Marty now P3 on those hards. And we'll need to try and get some tyre temps going in his tyres, otherwise he's going to be a sitting duck. Darky P4 going strong for Ferrari. DNF last week, and we'll be looking to bounce back and getting strong points on. Yeah, this game sucks. I always make sure I change it to yes. If you leave an auto, it doesn't do it first time. This game sucks, doesn't it? Jack's P5. Good stable start for him. Another 40 laps. And very consistent driver, and he'll be looking to capitalise on his P5 finish last week and see if he can match that or get better this week. Terry's P6, Mr. P4, Mr. Saturday, currently P6, so he gets on, but he's got Armour D for company. P7, Casamese P8 on those hards, and safety car is in. Bagraki now up to P9 after pitting as well, so he'll be happy with his current position. Theo currently P10. Yeah, as Matt Man says, pain in the arse. He's a P11 after his pits as well, so he'll be looking to potentially go to the end. Elite Dave, P12. Be interested to see how he gets on for the rest of the race. And then 13, Cats 14, and then Portuguese. 39 lap sprint, do you reckon? The safety car is heading in, and you can't overtake until the timeline, and I think, oh no! Oh no! Oh no, Raki, no! As Callum is going as late as possible, and he's gone. That's it now. As Raki's going in to get rid of that penalty now. As Callum's got away well, Cap's got right behind, no one's made early moves as such. It's quite a short run down the start-finish straight. It's difficult to make the overtake down to turn 1. Big Raki goes in, serves that penalty. There's no better time to do it than straight away. He's got the rest of the race to get himself back in it. As Armadi gets past Terry straight away up to P6. I think Terry knows it's not potentially his battle right now, and we'll try and stay within his DRS as much as possible. As Elite Days gets past Keezer up down to Lacoombs. And great overtake up to P10 for him. As Jack's going down to Brussels on the inside of the hairpin and makes that move stick. Armadi trying to follow through as well. But Darky defends well. Goes a little bit wide enough, flying into the gravel. And almost loses it, and loses a couple of places to Terry's as well. You don't want to be going in the wall, yeah, there. There used to be a run-off area. And Darky gets himself another track limits. Going around Pouillon. Easy to do, as Theo having a look on the inside of Catamese. Oh, what's Raki doing? Don't corner cut, Raki. And Darky is just struggling. Another safety car is out. Don't get yourself a penalty there, Darky, out trying to go through. That's what's happened with Raki. I don't know where he's tried to. I think he's gone off at Lacoombs, lost his wing, but he can go back in, get his wing changed. Safety car is out, so he's not all's not lost. Darcy's having trouble with these track limits. Darcy does go in the pits now. Everyone else is choosing to stay out. I think Big Raki will go in. He's going to have to change his wing. And like I say, all's not lost. So front three were as you were. Jack's now up to P4. Aberdeen P5. Theo now up to P7. Keeping it ticking over. Coming out with his wing change, struggling to turn in at the corners, which we saw at No Name. And Raki going in now, getting himself a fresh wing. He's been away from the game for quite a while. Last week this was his first race for a few months. It's good to see him back. It does take a little bit of a while to get himself switched on. Serving the penalty again. Sipping my brew. And Darky's actually retired from the race. He's called it a day. I don't know why. He's just pit. Lovely jubbly. Make it caffeine, keep me going. Lap 7 out of 44, and we've had 2 safety cars. Come on, guys, let's keep it on. We've got some racing going on here. We've got some action. quite a bit of action happens at the track in real life as well. Jockey's not having there. There's only lots apparently happens at this track every time. I'll have a catch up with him after and find out what the issues were. I think it's a game glitch, I don't know, or if it's just skill issue. Hashtag skill issue. That's Racky just catching up now. I think we'll probably do another lap around. Yeah, real life 2023. It's a fan favourite, and the 2023 race was confirmed 1 hour before the 2023 race actually happened. And if anyone recalls from last year's race, George Russell won. Got disqualified for his underweight car. Naughty. Let's have no naughty today, boys and girls. Otherwise you'll get an arsehole like a chewed orange. I'll ram something on it so hard. Maybe I'll sit down for a week. So let's hope no one else does any more crashing. Let's keep it on the track. It's a 100% race. It sorts out the men from the boys. So test your, what I say to Marty, it tests your mettle, tests your willpower and your concentration. And to add a little bit of extra spice today, as I mentioned earlier, some extra points up for grabs for keeping the car on the track and within the white lines. Any driver that keeps it within the lines and gets himself no track limit penalties will get himself 2 bonus points. If we see any rain at all in the race, which I hope we do, because I love a little bit of spice. Oh, not 1 spice, but 5 spice. Then they get 3 points. As we just come round Pouillon now. There's still some drivers that still have to pit, who haven't pit yet, the front 4. So technically RD has net race win, but it'll be interesting to see how the race unfolds. Callum leads the way round Patsock and Marty P3, who also told me he raced in Spa on Monday in an alternate league and won. So what can he do from here? It'll be a mean feat if he can. As the safety car is in, so Callum will hold the pack up as much as he can, let the safety car go in, and put his foot down, I think again as late as possible so he's not under threat down that start-finish straight. I think Catsock will be stuck to him like jizz on a sock. Won't want to let him get away. I want to try and continue his podium streak. As you can see, Callum still just putting some temperature in the tyres in, and he's gone. He's still not gone actually, unless it's a slow corner, but he's not gone yet. He's not gone yet. He's got to go now because he's under threat for the overtake, and Catsock is stuck with him. He was not forward at all. Marty's still trying to put some heat in the tyres as both the front 2 lock up, which won't help with their tyre wear. No one's made a move quite yet, but everyone has made it through, thankfully. Portuguese caught on his heels, as well as Catamese. Portuguese hasn't raced for a while either and is a little bit rusty, like I said. And has got Big Racky for a bit of company as Portuguese just trying to put some heat in those tyres. As Theo gets himself up to P6 on the inside of Lacombe's. Great move. Terry's tried to fight to the last minute, but couldn't let him go through anymore. Jax under threat from Amadee, defending as hard as possible. And not as easy for Amadee to overtake as previous moves. Jax wasn't quite close to Marty to make his signature Brussels move. There's Amadi potentially having a look on the inside. So Katz gets himself a track limit. And Amadi's still not close enough to make the move as yet. As we're heading to Stavlot. Martin's been dropped by the front two now. The hard tyres still yet to switch on, but they generally, if you start on the ultimate strategy, comes better in the later on in the race. Katz makes a move on Lennon, and Amadi does make a move on Jax now as Amadi gets himself a track's limits. As Terry's has gone round at the bus stop, I think a tap of the wheels and is causing to spin a bit more than normal on a slow corner, and it's relegated down to P13. Teammates Jax and Theo side by side. They won't want to collide too much, but I'm sure they are allowed to race. I don't think there's any team orders. The Catslock uses DRS and gets himself up to P1. Armadine out to P3, sorry. Marty losing 3 places from that DRS. Elite Dave up to P7. Great move on Katames. He's difficult to overtake on a straight. Lennon getting himself up to P10 as well, getting past the second Haas driver. Goes a little bit wide, and Katz taking the position back on the inside of Brussels. A little bit of wheel banging, but has made the move stick. There's Marty taking the position back on Jax. Now up to P5. Now doing a brilliant job now up to P4. And hunting down Amadi, who's got a 2-second gap to the 2 drivers in front. And Katz not leading the race. As Katz ahead of Portuguese. This colliding with Portuguese has gone off. And that's a wing gone. And it's another safety car. Another one. DJ Khaled. These bloody safety cars. There's enough runoff here. His car was still going. Why is the safety car gone out? Stupid game. Will we see these medium runners now go in the pits? Still no. So Capsot carries on. Callum goes on. Amadi carries on. Theo goes on. Marty carries up, and everyone's going. Someone's gone in actually. That's Dave. Screeching his tyres. As Portuguese goes in as well. Terry's in. And Katz of course with his damaged wing. So interesting. Will these go on the hard tyres and try to go to the end? And Katz has called it a day. He's had enough. He's not having a good start to the season as Dave gets a new wing. Portuguese and Terry's comes out. Dave Portuguese just sneaking ahead of Terry's. And all of them going onto the hard tyres and will definitely get to the end. Katz has DNF'd all of the races this season, has just struggled to find his groove. Maybe it's not a DJ Khaled, maybe he's a Groove Armada. I don't know if I was these medium runners, unless they know that there's potential rain coming. Mattman said at the start it looks a little bit grey. Oh, a little bit of adjusting there from Theo and Amadi. Has Amadi gone off? They've promoted Theo, but I'm sure he'd have to give the position back, otherwise we're going to see some penalties here. Who knows? This game's crazy sometimes. So everyone's there, so I suspect the safety car is going to be in, and I hope the safety car's in. Because we want to see some bloody racing. Capsock will lead us the way this time, so a new leader to get us started under the safety car restart. And let's see how he leads us. Is it in? Is it in? McLovin, it's in! It's not in, unless it's going to be a late call. Bloody hell, this bloody game. Codemasters, you're a gimp. I guess we'll go round again. I guess we'll go round again. Oh, I tell you what, was it Vegas? No, was it Vegas? What was it? Yeah, you've jinxed it. It was coming, but it heard you, and then it's gone. When was it last week? I want to see some rain. I want to see people struggle. As Keys is going in now. Is he getting on some different tyres? Has he got to change a wing? And he's changing his tyres and going to the hard, so he doesn't think the mediums are going to the end. So he's thinking now is the time. The game only allows so many safety cars within a race anyway, so maybe it's a smart move from Keyser. It was Vegas. Well, I raced in Vegas on Monday, and the safety car announced that it was coming in after the penultimate corner, but then it carried on for another lap again. Absolutely spasticated. This Gator sometimes. While we're waiting for it to go round, anyone hear a joke? Because I've got loads of jokes about unemployed people. Unfortunately, none of them work. Silence is golden. Coming around Pouillon on lap 12 out of 44. 100% race. Yeah. Yeah, so many safety cars, but there's only so many within a race anyway, so if we've had them all now, it means that we're going to have at least 3/4 of the race racing, thankfully. And one or two drivers struggling, and the safety car is in this lap, thankfully. What do you want? My dog's eyeballing me. It looks like he's going to give me some absolute shit. Keep your phone, sir. Right, caps lock. Letting the safety car go. And when will he go? I'm not giving anything away, but generally my strategy is that I always catch people off guard right at the end of Blanchimont. Especially if I have brand new tyres on. But caps lock. And Callum has been on these tyres since the start. And Theo will be looking racy. Up to P3 now from back of the grid. You love to see it as caps lock. Has he gone? He has. And Callum slightly off guard. 8 tenths between them. And we're away again. Katami's under threat from Lennon already. So it looks Amadi. As I think Theo potentially gives Amadi his position back after whatever got fucked up on the formation. That's very good sportsmanship from Theo. As I don't know actually. Is Theo glitching or disconnected? I haven't seen that he's disconnected. His car's not. Marty trying to put some heat into his tyres. Doing a bit of weaving there. Just be careful. Don't take anybody out. Maybe giving a couple of places back because of the game, but anyway, back up to P4, round Brussels. Marty's tyres have got to switch on, 12 laps already. Really want to stay on the hard from the start of the race. And brave strategy from him. Everyone looks like they've made it round now. Let's keep it on the track, lads. Caps lock still ahead. Let's see some bloody racing. So the front three already dropped Theo. I think Theo's in his car because he did make the overtake on Marty, so I think the front three have just caught him off guard. So let's see if he can crawl back in. He's gained a couple of tenths. He's still got Marty for company. Marty needs to stick with him on those hard tyres, or Jax will be all over him, trying to guess what he had for breakfast. And he's got a bit of a train all the way down to Terry's. He's been dropped by Portuguese ahead of him. And DRS is enabled. Amity currently with the fastest lap. Marty will be wanting that back, thank you. Currently P4 and a bit of a cork, and will be under threat from the DRS, the same as Caps Lock, as we head for the first time after the safety car restart with the DRS activated. And we'll see, I think, Callum get back up to the lead of the race and Amity follow him round. And he does. As Catanese screaming past Jackson, Marty up to P5. Elite Dave making a move on Terry's as well. Keys are not quite close enough just yet. Time will come. I'm not a big fan of Spa personally. So you just got to keep it on track until the end of the race. As Terry's a little bit wide on Brussels, but retaining his position. And now we'll have Giza for company. As Portuguese making a move on Big Racky up to P9 now. Racky back in the race after his excursion on Lacooms. I think he's currently happy with his P10 after all said and done. But there's still 30 laps to go. Oh, dear 30. Same age as me. Callum now. Coming up to start lap 15. Portuguese getting past Lennon at the bus stop. Side by side as they're both making a move on Marty. It's 3 wide going to turn 1. As Marty trying to do a bit of a switchback, but great move from Lennon. There's Catamese and Jack side by side going down to Eau Rouge. Jack's just getting ahead. Catamese pulling out that one. It's a good decision from Catanese. He'll probably take advantage of the DRS, but he did not want to collide as he does. Gets himself back up to P5. And everyone else going single file. Amity now leading the race as Keezer makes a move on Terry's. Up to P12. Great move from Keezer. So now Amity in the lead of the race. Callum P2 and Capstock P3, but these three all running very strongly. Portuguese now past Marty up to P8. As Marty's under threat from Big Racky on the inside of Pouillon. Marty's going wide. As we'll go with 3, almost 3 wide as Elite Dave having a look. Not quite close enough to make a move, and potentially not the right place to make a move on flip-flap. You go too hard on flip-flap and you will be flapping. Flopping like a hen in a bucket of piss. Back up to the bus stop. Will anyone close enough to make a move? Potentially Lennon on Jax. Jax on Catamese, looking at Catamese defending like a fridge, as he always does, but Jax doing the switchback. A great move from Jax up to P5, while the DRS to pull away from Catamese. Lennon now taking a look on Cat as well. Oh, Portuguese just not turning it off and colliding with Lennon. Thankfully no damage done there, and letting Lennon through. Portuguese has not slowed his car in time on the source. And will anyone be close enough to make a move? Callum not quite there, and they've dropped Catslock. And Castanese back up to P5. Portuguese on the inside of Lacombe. Just clipping Lennon, and he's into the wall. And thankfully no safety car this time. No damage done either. Sometimes it does end in tears, and the slightest little touch can send you on into a tight part of the track. There he goes again. He's a very strong driver, Portuguese. He knows what he's got to do. Head down, foot down. So front two now pulled away, Amity and Callum. Catbox dropped slightly. How's his tyres looking after 15 laps? And then 2 seconds, Theo P4. It's just settled in his position. Jackson Catamise. Jack's making the move down Blanchimont. Catamise light flashing, so probably used a lot of his ERS. I'll be watching with intent with Catamise, just making sure that he's Big Racky loses a couple of places. He goes into the pits. And let's see what his strategy call is here. Has he got wing damage? And getting rid of that wing. Or is he just going on to some different tyres and looking to go to the end of the race and making an early pit stop? It looks like a wing change, it does. But he is going onto the hard tyres and will easily go to the end of the race. So, short-term pain, long-term gain. As the front two still sticking with each other like glue as Catamise back up to P5. Portuguese ahead of his teammate and Terry's 2 in 1. Great capitalise on the DRSs. Lennon making a move up down Brussels on Jax. Jax is getting a taste of his own medicine. Great move from Lennon up to P6. Jax will be wanted to, as soon as that going wide, it was Elite Dave in the RB. Not quite keeping it between the white lines there. He's struggling to get his car turned in at a high speed. Now Lennon directly behind Catamise. Catamise needs to stay ahead here. He shouldn't be getting overtaken easily here. His car's generally built for the high speed. And easily overtaken by Lennon there. We'll have a look at his speed on the next lap. He always has these suspicions of letting off for the DRS, so we shall see. As Jack's taken a look, Elite Dave taking a look, and Jax defends the inside line of the source. As Lennon will lead this pack away down, again down the DRS zone. And there's a bit of a gap as Catamise close enough to make a move. That's a good run out of Radion. I couldn't get my words out. As Elite Dave makes a move on Jack Daniels up to P7. Great move from there, and Catamise not quite close enough on Lennon. Has to go off the track to avoid a collision. And gets himself track limits penalty. And Lennon defends brilliantly. He's trying to stick with him like glue. And is following down the second sector. As Lennon goes wide, you don't want to do that too often. That's to defend from Catamise, who has a look on the inside of pit path. But Lennon plants his car right in the middle of the road. Great defending from the Alpine driver. Elite Dave P7 and be looking all over the back end. Oh, Lennon goes wide. Loses traction going around Stavlot. Managed to keep it going. As Martinez is down to P10. Catamise now P5. Elite Dave has managed to get himself up to P6 now. And we'll have DRS on Catamise. Marty now deciding to go into the pits and get off these hard tyres. Jackson Portuguese side by side. Portuguese just ahead as we head down to Eau Rouge. Catamise will be under threat from Elite Dave and Portuguese. They're so close they might as well be dated. Take each other to dinner first. As Elite Dave up to P5, Katamise has lost a couple of places. Portuguese, brilliant move from Portuguese on Elite Dave. And Elite Dave is, just taps Katamise on Malmedy. Lost a couple of places, managed to keep himself going though. Great handling there from Elite Dave, and it was very tight. He went offline. Did not expect Portuguese to go through on there, and Katamise was trying to follow Portuguese through. And a little bit of a love tap, but Elite Dave keeps going, is still in the fight. Down to P8 for him, but Portuguese now up to P5 on the back of the grid. And has already dropped Katamise, who's on older hard tyres. Marty has gone on to those medium tyres now. I think it's quite early, so is it a two-stopper? It's very interesting. I would have thought it'd have to be two stoppers. Amadeus broke Callum, who's now deciding to go to, a little clip of the wall for him. Capsock is carried on going, has got Theo, who's caught up to him. I think these tyres are wearing thin, so I think Callum will be going onto these hard tyres. Armadillo will definitely have to pit again as well, so it's not all doom and gloom as Callum's actually going on medium, so it is a two-stopper. Medium, I think mediums to softs. For Callum, who's going to come out. Oh, it's going to be tight for him. He's going to be caught right in the middle of it. It's not where he wanted to be. He's come around P8 on fresh tyres. As Theo's got himself ahead up to P2 now, ahead of Capslock. As Lennon does get himself a track limits now at Eau Rouge. And this is, I hope this is no clusterfuck, as Katamise is under threat. And it's about 4 or 5 wide. Whoa! I don't like this. It's 5 in a bunch. It's like a bunch of bananas. But they've outdone. I give them all credit, man. I give them all credit. Brilliant driving from all. As Callum goes a little bit wide. His tyre's not quite up to temperature yet. Currently running P7 still, but whoo! I could not breathe. I could not breathe. I'll tell you. Capstock still stuck with Theo. Well, we see Amadi trying to hold off Callum. Callum getting past Katamise up to P6 and right behind Jax Daniels. Katamise struggles around the second sector. We've seen it over the last few laps. The struggle down down Spa-Francorchamps as well. As Callum making some move on Jax Daniels as well. Up to P5, and great move from Callum on those fresher tyres, 19 lap fresher tyres, so hardly expected. Made good use of the DRS as well. Everyone follows him through. No one's diving in the pits as yet. And so Callum will leave that train round. Is Capslock close enough to make a move on Theo? As Amadi now 6 seconds ahead. I'd probably like to say actually that Capslock does make that move and Callum leaves us away now. I hope we don't end up another 5 wide. I don't believe it. I think Callum's got a good enough gap. And I think everyone's single file. Maybe Elite Dave having a quick look on Katamise, but not quite close enough to make that move. And it's as you were. Whew. I can breathe this lap, lads. I can breathe. Marty currently running his own race for now on a different strategy to the rest. Started on the hards, on these mediums. Big Raki just pit as well, so he's on a different strategy. Their strategies will unfold as the crescendo of the race happens. Capsock P2 with Theo for company. Portuguese managed to bridge that gap, running nicely in P4, again on a different strategy. And as that last third of the race and we head into the last 10 or so laps, I think we'll see how everyone's strategies will unfold. Alan has broke the gap on Jax Daniels, so Jax Daniels is now the leader of this DRS train. Slightly broke out from Katamise, as Katamise close enough for that DRS. If not, he's in trouble, and that'll be a bit of sigh relief for Jax Daniels. I do not see a wing there for Katamise, so not quite close enough. Can Jax bridge that gap 4 down the Kemmel straight? As Theo switches positions again with Catstock back up to P2. And Portuguese closing in while those two are battling. Under 10 seconds now. But he's still not quite close enough. And Elite Dave having a look on the inside of the Coombs. Made that move. Brilliant overtake from Elite Dave. And Catanese has to concede the position on older tyres. When we see him pit, he won't be able to get to the end of the race on this time on hards. Impossible. Lennon now P9. Terry's going strong. Works his way up to P10. I think he'll struggle to get himself a P4 today, but you never know. And he's got Geezer all over his gearbox still. A great battling from these pair. Although they're missing is Big Racky for their on-track battling. Amadee's still going round. Ready to start lap 23. We're over halfway through. Screeching. Might as well be safe by the bell. Callum now P5. And he's closed in on Portuguese and set the current fastest lap of the race with a 1:44.9. He is our net race leader, I think, currently how it stands. And he'll have DRS on Portuguese as Lennon struggling at the source and has Terry's for company as Capstock retakes P2. Can Callum make the move on Portuguese? Is he close enough? I don't think so. I think Portuguese is slammed on that ERS. He's not quite yet for Callum. As Jax has got Elite Dave. Brilliant move from Dave. Catanese follows him through as well. Brilliant drive from both, and Jax will have to concede the position. Elite Dave now up to P6 after his earlier wheel bumping. He's up to P6, but will be under threat. Terry's is now into DRS range of this battle ahead, and he's got his head down. And has managed to make the move on Lennon. Brilliant work from Terry's, P9. These are just biding his time, waiting for some potential drama ahead. And he'll jump out like a trapdoor spider. Marty going strong now, just under 12 seconds and closing the gap. Big Racky. I can hear him whistling. D still going, holding his own race. So they're probably on a similar strategy to Callum, trying to eke out these tyres as long as possible. Capstock still the only one yet to pit, so I think he's looking to do a one stopper, which will be absolutely brilliant. But if he's going on hards, I think now would be the time, unless he's trying to do a mediums to softs, which will be absolutely incredible. And Theo, early overtake down the Kemmel. Capstock jumps into that slipstream, and this is the time now where Callum will make the move on Portuguese. It'll be hard for Portuguese to defend, and he does. Callum up to P4. And we're looking to hunt down his competitors ahead. Portuguese want to stick in his slipstream as much as possible, and Catherine's up to P6. Great move on Dave. So he's managed to keep the position from Jax. And it's as you were. As we go round Brussels. And not the Brussels. Catanese struggling, coming out of Pouillon, and Dave capitalises, gets himself back up to P6. I think Jax, actually I was lying, I've got a yellow flag. Who's gone off? think that was Terry. He's down to P11 now. Going round Stavlop. I think he's just gone a little bit wide into the gravel. He needs to just put his head down so he can get back into that train. And it's time for Caps Lock to pit. And I was wrong, because Jax hasn't pit either as well. And he does go onto the softs. So mediums to softs for Caps Lock. Interesting strategy call. I think that's him to the end of the race. And he's going to come out into this absolute carnage of a DRS train. Can he get ahead of Catherine's, which he does, which means he's only got one car to overtake. He will be under threat from Catherine's. He's an absolute bullet. He's now dropped Jax. Jax does have to pit sometime soon, otherwise he's going to lose quite a few positions. Caps Lock, is he quite close enough to make the move on Elite Dave? Right at the end. Right at the end of the Coons, he is. Dave keeps it in line, and oh, did Caps Lock leaving enough room? I don't know if he did. But, again, Dave only loses a couple of positions for not that much damage done. He's still within that DRS. The Caps Lock has already broke that DRS train on those softs. And we'll be looking to pump some laps in on those fresher tyres. I wouldn't be surprised if we see D and Theo come in as well on some fresh softs. Has Dave his gearbox too. Squeezed on Lacoons. I personally would have thought Caps Lock should have left him some. Catamese can't be doing any weaving there. Trying to get some heat in his tyres, Elite Dave. All over his gearbox. Quite close enough yet to make a move. Staying behind Catamese for now. We'll get the DRS as Jax does make a move. And loses a position on Lennon, who takes that back and goes, no you don't. As Jax also loses out to Keyser, who's gained a place on Terry's. Side by side, we're heading down to a Rouge. Jax is losing too many positions. I think he needs to pit and get off those tyres. As Keyser now to Pete now with a great overtake down on the source. And we'll get DRS ahead of him from Lennon. Anyone close enough to make the move as yet? Not yet, as Jax does retake the position on Keyser up to P9, but he's going to be an absolute cork in a bottle going around sector 2. His tyres must be screaming. He needs to pit, I think, at the end of this lap. And do a Caps Lock strategy and jump on those soft tyres. Already 4 seconds advantage on Catamese. Callum closing in on Theo. Under 6 seconds now. He's pulled away from Portuguese. And is pumping sometimes on those fresh mediums, which I think you're safe to say could actually get him to the end of the race. He's still stuck behind Castanese. He's come around Stavlop. Will we see anyone make a move down Blanchimont? Not quite close enough yet. Castanese bursting all his ERS. I think he uses his strategy with his ERS as well. As Jax makes a move on Lennon, who actually dives into the pits now, gets off his tyres and will jump on some fresh softs, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if we see as Catamese staying ahead of Elite Dave as we head down to the Kemmel Straight, and he's pushing him up Eau Rouge. And Lennon jumps onto mediums. He was pushing him like a trolley round Asda. And we'll make an easy overtake down the Kemmel. Catamese tries to defend the inside. And he does defend the inside. A lock up there from Elite Dave and has to concede the place. And Jax is there for company. Has a look on the inside of Brussels, but it's probably not the right time to do. That's all of overtake now on his tyre wear. Almost 8 gap between D and Theo, both on the same strategy. On lap 27 out of 44. I believe they will have to pit again, which means advantage Callum for now. It'll be interesting to see how Capstock ends out on the soft tyres and how that strategy plays out for him. For a podium position as Elite Dave pushing Katamise down Blanchimont again. The lights are screaming. Katamise defends at the bus stop, but no one's quite close enough to make a move as yet, as did someone go too wide. Jax now comes into the pits, and I think it's a couple of laps a bit late for him, but will, I think, go onto those soft tyres as Marty goes through up to P10. And he does go onto those soft tyres, so he's up to P8 past Terry's as Terry's was taking a look. Lennon right on the gearbox, a big Racky now. And will Elite Dave make a move on Katamise? Still not quite close enough on the outside of Lacoombs. As Katamise slots behind, great move from Elite Dave. These two swapping places. Up to P6 for Dave. And he's not quite close enough. But he's sticking with these, and Katamise currently has a penalty, so knows that he'll jump on positions. I think these guys should be able to go to the end, but it's going to be a struggle. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they do pit again and go into some soft tyres too. And all the while they're battling, Marty closing in, who could go to the end on these mediums. Only 3.8 seconds now. And could capitalise on all this, jostling and promote himself up the grid. It's always interesting to see how people's strategies unfold. We've got Big Racky and Lennon fighting for P11 for now. As we come round Stablock. Elite Dave will lead us away this time. Around the end of the lap. Katamise will have DRS. Keys are slightly dropped, touched under, but he's managed to get good traction off the bus stop and get himself back in to DRS range. And has good exit off turn 1. And let's see how Katamise, is he close enough to make the move on Dave this time. Geezer just falling slightly backwards, will put under threat from Terry's. Katamise has got good launch out of Radion. Has a look on the inside of Lacoombs. They're side by side. Left plenty of space. Great drive from both. And Elite Dave retains the position. Lennon makes the move on Big Racky. There's nothing he could do there. And up to P11 for him. But I think these two will be jostling for position for the next couple of laps at least. Terry's still behind Keezer. Not quite close enough as the Kemmel Straight unravelled. Caps lock under 2 seconds on Portuguese. Is absolutely storming and flying. Portuguese on those 18 lap hard tyres. And Callum now 2.2 seconds on Theo. Amity and Theo settled on around the 8-second lap time mark now. Their tyres must be wearing off with 14 laps to go. I do not think that they can go any much longer on these mediums, which puts Callum in a good position. Portuguese could potentially go to the end of the race on these tyres. It'll be a bit naff near as the end of the race unfolds. But Caps Lock will be looking to have his say, and Portuguese will be able to see him in his rear view mirrors. As Marty goes into the pits again. Strange decision from Martin. I think he's going to go onto the soft tyres and try and do fastest lap. Big Racky's lost out to Jax as well. He's managed to catch up to Lennon and him. Bumped on the curb on the source. There's not great traction off the corner. And Marty does come out on those soft tyres. So he'll be looking to pump in some laps as Terry now makes the move on Keezer. Up to P8. down the Kemmel, great overtake. As Elite Dave has now dropped Katames and has got that gap and released that pressure from himself. Finally, Katames is an absolute bugger to overtake sometimes. And he's got, as Jax makes the move on Lennon on the inside of Brussels. Oh, he's done it again. He loves that corner. I think Lennon did that to him last time. But Jax has gone, my turn. Up to P10. His course 100% race, which we don't do often. And I always applaud the drivers. Such a real struggle and test of their concentration. Generally probably about an 80-minute, probably a 90-minute race with a couple of safety cars that we had. And it shows great drive from all, really. So Callum's now caught up to Theo. Is he close enough to make the move? I don't think Theo's going to fight it too much. And Callum now up to P2. Katames side by side with Terry's. As Terry's has got a better launch off turn 1. And Terry's now up to P7, but we'll have Katames all on his gearbox. Giza saying hello as well as Katames makes an early move. Pulls out of his slipstream with a DRS opening coming out of Radion. And it's a sandwich. Terry's in the middle, he's the meat. And Giza side by side with Katames, but slots behind both upper position. And Keck does nothing again. Terry's can do as Lennon not quite close enough on Jax. And Big Racky has dropped out of the DRS zone on old hard tyres and made that loss of traction area out of turn 1 on the last lap. Unfortunately, just can't stick with those two. Callum now eating in Armadi's time. Will Armadi try and get to the end on these tyres? I think at this moment in time, if he does pit, I don't know if he'll have enough 12 laps to get pumping some I don't know. I don't think he'll have enough in him to get back onto the top of the podium. So I reckon he'll stay out and try and eke it out and see. We'll see how Callum can he claw back those tenths. Theo has dropped out of DRS. And Theo will try to stay with Callum as long as possible. Will he try and do Armadi's strategy as well? As Capsock now makes a move on Portuguese up to P4 on those fresher tyres. Keys making a move on Terry's coming out of the source. As they're side by side, and Terry pulls out of that. Knows there's plenty of time to go. Does not want to be crashing into the wall on Eau Rouge. And his Keys now close enough to make a move on Katames. Katames is a hard one to overtake on the straight, and it's a fight another day, but he's gained position anyway this lap. Great fight in there from Kiza, up to P8. Jackstone still keeping ahead of Lennon. Lennon not quite close enough to make a move either. This lap, with a loss of traction coming out of Brussels. And has actually fell out of the DRS now. As we head round Pouillon. And he needs to try and stay as it was. Armadi still P1, but Callum now 6.4. Gradually, I think it's up and down like horse draws. Absolute prosy. Theo's now been dropped 2.5 seconds. Let's keep an eye on how Capslock does with 11 laps to go. He's still got Portuguese company though. It's not over yet. And I think doing a rain dance hasn't worked. I think it's going to be dry to the end of the race, and Portuguese not quite close enough to make a move. And Caps Lock retains the position for now. P4 for him. Keys are now. He'll be pushing Catamese as Big Racky jumps into the pits to get off those hard tyres. Get on some fresh softs. Catamese ahead, but Keyser will make the move now, surely. Terry's will follow through. Will we get a Catamese sandwich? Cat meat. He defends the outside. And not quite close enough there, but he's gone offline, going around the combs. And Keyser can't make the move as yet, and we'll have to wait till the next lap. What this has done, though, it's brought Jax Daniels and Lennon come to the party, and we'll have a 5-car battle again for P7. Jax Daniels all over the gearbox for Terry's on those fresher tyres, and he's absolutely storming. And we'll be looking to try and work his way up through these cars and break away like Elite Dave has, who's done so well on this 24-lap hard tyres to break a gap of now 7.7 seconds. Surely Castanese can't go to the end of the race on these hard tyres. They're going to wear off. I'm saying that too about Amadi and Theo. Catamese now has Keyser. Over here's Gearbox. And Lennon's been drawn in now into the DRS train. Keyser defending from Terry's, who's having a look on the inside of the turn 18. Not quite the moment to make the move. He has another look on the inside of a full of sauce. Again, not quite the moment. And Catanese has not got good traction off turn 1, which means everyone's going to be pushing him up the hill. Keyser has a look on the outside of Eau Rouge, but now will be his opportunity down the Kemmel. Jax Daniels is having a look on Terry's as well. Catanese screaming away as Terry's. Look at Terry's! He's an absolute bullet! Has made the move on Keyser. And oh, what's happened there? Catamese is into the wall. And it's a safety car. And this just throws a big mix up, and I think everyone will be jumping in for softs. Catamese is going so slow through the combs. I don't think Terry's expected that at all. And sent Catamese into the wall. There's an early bath for the Cat as Callum goes in for some softs too. And this is a reprieve from those that have been on the tyres that have been so long. Will we see Caps Lock? He does go in for some fresh softs too. Portuguese in. Oh, that's done well for D, for Theo. What? Have we got rain? Or is this a glitch? Have we got rain? Have we got rain? Have we got rain coming? Is that the Portuguese gone in for some softs? Dave's going in. It's grey. Are we expecting? Elite Dave's gone in inters. What's going on? Have we got rain? Is it going to rain hard enough that the inters are required? Everyone's going in. Let's go. So we've got softs. We've got Keys are going on inters. Softs to Jackson Lennon. What's Marty going to do? What's Big Racky going to do? Inters for Marty. Racky's carrying on. Who's just pit for soft. So different strategy calls. Will it rain hard enough? And yeah, Catamese, it was unfortunate, mate. You were driving really well on those hard tyres, and it was some great battling. I hope you're feeling better, mate. I know you're under the weather. But as always, if there's any discontent, then please send a clip to the stewards if you wish to report it. But is there actually rain, Mattman? If you're still watching, man. I don't know what's going on. It's grey, but Ooh, we've got nine laps. We could see some rain. This could be very, very interesting call from the guys who decided to go on Inters, which, if so, is very brave call from the guys on Inters and could give them a decent position. It's raining. It started to rain. Is it going to rain hard enough that the Inters are required, though? I've just seen some rain. It's spitting. There, you can see it's raining. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Are we going to see these guys jump in for Inters now? Oh, wow. Armidy's carrying on. Callum's gone in. So Armidy's sticking out. That's a brave call. Theo's staying out as well. No, he's Inters. That's why. I'm confused. Terry's is staying out. Brave call from Terry's. Jackson's staying out as well. Oh my God. This is yeah, interesting. Callum's gone on Inters. Lennon's going on the Inters. Racky's going on Inters as well. Portuguese has gone into the Inters. They're thinking it's going to turn into interweathers. So has this been the right call from D, Terry's and Jack's? We shall see. Is it going to be hard enough rain? There's still quite a few laps to go. It's not like there's only a couple of laps left. The track's looking quite greasy. And oh, wow. Interesting. This race has gone from not a great start to some absolute enjoyment. I need to go to the bathroom afterwards. I'm enjoying myself that much. I should have put an R rating on this watch along. Touchy feely monkey. It's currently safety car come round, should be in this lap. Amity leads us around, but it looks like, I know what it looks like and what it is on track is a little bit different, but it looks like it's rained quite a bit, that the track's going to be a little bit wet and quite tricky, but only the drivers on track know what the conditions are like. And for Amity, Terry's and Jack's, could this be a genius move? But I really think that Inters is probably, safety car is in. I think Inters is probably the way to go. They're probably gonna have to go with it, but they're gonna have to be careful on these corners, and I think the drivers around on the Inters are gonna have to be cautious when trying to make an overtake, being aware that they are on the Inters. Oh my God. So Amity, the third different driver to lead us away on a safety car restart. When will he go? We're going to have to wait for the safety car to go in the pits, which it's going in now. You can't overtake till the timing line anyway, so everyone's going to have to follow suit. And he's stopped his weaving, but he hasn't sped up. He's just buying his time. He's going to wait on the traction zone to go. And it looked a little bit tasty there as Terry's goes in and Jax goes in. So Amity's going with it. Oh, he's struggling. He's so slow, and you can see the guys on the Inters as Theo's forced a little bit wide. I don't think he'll be too happy for that. And that's promoted Capstock up to the lead of the race. Amity down to P2, and he's struggling. You can see it's raining hard now. Amity's made the wrong call. He's gone off the track. He's going to struggle. Elite Dave on his debut, now up to P2. Theo squeezed from Amity. Amity trying to defend. He's probably better just letting Amity pass. As Theo on the inside of the Coombs. And that's Theo up to P3 now. Amity is struggling. Keyser now up to P4. Great driving consistency here from Keyser, considering he doesn't like this track. Amity, he's absolutely struggling now. He's trying to turn in, and Callum Had to go off track, and Ahmadi's best just letting these guys past. He can defend as much as he can, but he's struggling on track. It's a wrong call from Ahmadi. And, yeah, he's struggling, yeah. He's made the right call now, just letting guys pass. Big rack up to P9. So Caps Lock now leading the race. Can he defend from Dave, who's up to P2? The front three have dropped. Keyser in P4, but it'll be his strongest finish of the season if he can keep it as it is. Marty running P5. Has Callum and Portuguese for company. As Keyser defending the middle of the track from the guys behind. I'll be surprised if DRS is enabled, but sometimes this game does enable it. As Callum makes the move on Marty down Blanchimont. Keyser goes off the track and gets the track limits warning. And Callum now up to P4 on the outside of the bus stop. Keyser tries to defend the inside, but Callum's just got a better traction off the corner. Marty now track limits. It's tricky in these conditions. The Portuguese now up to P6 as Marty's just offline. Tries to retake the position on the inside of La Source. But Portuguese have better traction. Coming out the corner. As you can see, Lennon just going wide. P8 as Ahmadi does go in the pit and goes on to those intermediates. And yeah, one call for him, unfortunately. Catslock still in the positions. Portuguese up to P5, making a move on his teammate. His teammate's trying to defend as well on Marty on the inside of the Coombe, side by side. As there's great defending from Keyser. Retains his P6 for now. Theo on the inside of Brussels. Great overtake on Elite. And now himself up to P2. What this does mean, now it's raining, is that anyone that has no track limits penalties will get 3 points and not the 2 as a bonus for lasting 100% and keeping it within white lines. As Marty up to P6, as we've Lennon up to, oh, big Racky, just struggling to keep it on track in these conditions. Still P9. Jack's P10 and Terry's got Terry's for company, both making a later call to go on to the intermediates. Stayed on the softs and had to be punished for that, and same for Ahmadi, who'll just be punching in some lap times. Caps Lock still leading the way with Theo and Elite. Dave 2.5 seconds behind his Callum. Can he pump in some times with 6 laps to go? 2.5, so still in with a shout for a podium. But he has Portuguese in for a shout as well, to be fair. Still within his quote marks DRS range. And anyone be close enough to make a move on Caps Lock as we head down hill and then back up again up Eau Rouge. Theo's closing in. Had a strong race last week and won the race last week. And Caps Lock will want to get his first win for Lights Out League Racing. Can he keep it in the front of Theo? But Theo, we know, has got a strong pace. Elite Dave running P3 for now. But all the while Callum's closing in. Had to make the call and lose a few positions to get onto those intermediate tyres. He's got himself back up to P4 for now. And Elite Dave's now fell out of that DRS. They can't quite keep up with the front two. Marty's broke away from Keyser. He's now up to P6, Keyser P7. And he's got Lennon back on his gearbox. Tricky conditions now, the rain's come out. Oh, come on Caps Lock, let's get your first win. I applaud anybody who's on the podium, of course, but like I say, it'll be his first podium, and it'll be a P3, P2, P1 for his first 3 races of the season. But if Theo's got anything to say about that, and potentially Callum, we'll see. Now that what make this absolutely funny is if it dried up in the next 2 laps and they'll all have to dive in for some fresh tyres. That'd be so funny, that. As we head down the Kemmel Straight, Theo pulls out of the slipstream. There is no DRS, of course. Has a look on the inside of the Coombs. Brakes later and gets ahead of and takes the lead of the race again. Caps lock down P2. Which has brought Dave and Callum in play as well now. They've dropped Portuguese. He's running comfortably now in P5. But if they're all battling it, he could potentially close in. If anything, I think he'll be quite happy with this. Blowing off that rust. He'll only get rusty now if he gets left out in this rain. Lennon's still all over the gearbox of Geezer. Hasn't quite shook him off yet. As they're drifting round Pouillon. Geezer struggling a little bit. Keeping a strong position. Theo just building a little bit of a gap on Caps Lock. Just on over 8 tenths. It's to and fro-in. As Callum on the inside of bus stop forces Dave a little bit wide. Dave's trying to fight back on the inside of turn 19. Side by side as we go down the start-finish straight. Dave's slightly ahead for now and gets himself back in position. Great defending from Dave to retain his position. Very strong driver. It's nice to see him battling with these very quick drivers around him, and Capstock has now been dropped from Theo. A bit of breathing space for Theo for P1. Capstock will be under threat from Elite Dave and Callum. Can they make an overtake down to Lacoombs? Not quite close enough for all three, and it's as you were. Portuguese is closing in. It's under 1.5 seconds, so he'll be joining the fight for a podium. It's under a second now. It's game on. 3 laps to go. My dog is absolutely miffed. His ears are so low because he's that knackered, but I can't stop screaming. He looks like fucking Dobby. But he's also got his eyes are so droopy because he's tired. He looks like an absolute mong. It's funny. Funny. Right, Callum. Pushing Dave round. There's a bit of a gap. Capstock got a bit of breathing space from him as well. Almost a second. As Armady gets past Terry's, he's managed to catch up and got himself up to P11. Terry's struggling in the wet. Had a really strong start to the season. As I said, McLaren currently leading the constructors. With his teammate currently in P2, they'll still be going strong as Callum makes the move at the bus stop, goes deep, and which means broke a bit late, which means Portuguese now up to P4. I think he broke late or had to go wide. I think he broke late and locked up, and he's lost a couple of positions, which has given breathing space to Dave from Portuguese behind and shorten the gap to Capstock. Can he get close enough to make a move up to P2 for Dave? Right, Dave. Right, Dave. Got some chips. Chips some Dave. He's not quite close enough, and Capstock retains that P2 for now. Theo's almost got a 2-second gap. And if he can keep this going, it's going to be 2 race wins in a row for the Aston Martin driver from the back of the grid. But these 5 all on for a chance for a podium. As Callum makes a move on no name as Portuguese goes wide and keeps out the gravel, thankfully. But does promote Callum back up to P4. Capitalise on a small mistake. Big Raki has closed the gap on Lennon, and Keezer's battling. Lennon's managed to get past Keezer, and Big Racky's in for a bit of spice himself. He's going to throw a little bit of chili flakes in there. Lennon's actually broke the gap from Keezer, so Keezer's struggling a little bit in the wet as more rain's landed on the track. And he's got Big Racky for company. Can Big Racky make a move and get himself up his position with a couple of laps to go? As Keezer goes into the gravel, that won't have helped at all. Big Racky's all over his gearbox now. Can he make a move down Blanchimont? As Big Racky looks on the slight outside, I probably would have gone the other side. As goes on the curb, could have ended badly for him. Side by side down Blanchimont. Still side by side on Blanchimont. And Big Racky makes the position stick. Great move from him up to P8. Keezer could not defend that as well as he'd like to. Just struggling in the wet. So we're on the penultimate lap. Theo coming down the end of Kemmel, over 2 seconds. Brilliant drive from him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up with driver of the day as well, doing last to finish in these different race scenarios and conditions. Brilliant drive. Capsock still got P2. Elite Dave still P3 as well. And of course, like I say, he's the new RB driver alongside Ox. And we'll get some valuable points for the team and himself. And if he keeps this position, a fantastic debut podium. Callum P4 all over his gearbox as well. His first race back, he'll be looking to try and get a solid start to his race season and a podium. Save for Portuguese, his first race of the season, and taking over the Mercedes seat with Keezer. As Matt unfortunately has dropped down to reserve, and it has been confirmed while on stream. So it's a shame. It would have been nice to see him race, but he just could not commit. Portuguese right on the gearbox of Callum. Can he make a move down Blanchimont and at the bus stop? Has a look on the inside, but great defending from Callum. Portuguese car looking left and right as we're on the final lap now. Dave's got a bit of a gap behind Capslock. Can Capslock keep that gap? There's a bit of a concertina around the source. Callum's car is all over Elite Dave. I think Callum, he'll probably settle for a podium. Can he make the move? I don't think Dave's close enough to Capslock. I think it's down to whoever's saved as much ERS as possible. You don't want to use it all now though. As Callum takes a look, can he make the move on Dave? Dave defends the inside of the Coons. Brilliant position of the car and keeps that P3. And there's nowhere that Callum can go. Brilliant driving from Dave. And while these two are battling, it will open a gap from Capslock. Which, to be fair, Dave's managed to keep that as well. It's a brilliant drive. As Amadee made a move on and Jax Daniels up to P10. I don't think he's going to make any more positions though, and if Jax Daniels stays with him, he'll jump ahead on penalties. But we'll stick with these guys. Callum pushing. Has a look on the inside. Bit of a late move on pit path. But a brilliant position again from Dave. He's driving with his elbows out. It's all down now on Blanchimont. Theo leads us down for the final time. There's a gap for Capslock, and I think if any positions are going to be made here, it's going to be between Callum and Dave. Both pushing for all their might. As Callum has a look on the outside, bit of wheel banging, but we'll say, see him coming out as Theo goes the line and takes a race win. Brilliant drive for him. Capslock P2. Again, brilliant drivers to the line, and Dave takes it for his debut podium. Callum P4, fantastic driving. Portuguese P5, wow, to the line for a podium. Martin will go home P6, and I'll be happy with that, I think, after all that's said and done. Lennon will come home P7. Big Racky will take P8. Keys has dropped down on penalties on Armour D. And Jax will jump both up to P9, so Armour D takes P10, Keys at P11 on penalties. And then Terry's has not got any track limits, and I will hold my breath for a couple more corners, and we'll get his... He's got no penalties. Well done, Terry's. He's always prone to getting them. But I'll get P12 as well. Congratulations to him. But I wonder who the game will give driver of the day to, but I think personally for me it will be Theo. The game does give it to Theo. Apparently he's in the McLaren, but he wasn't. He's in an Aston Martin seat. But brilliant race. That last 2/3 was absolutely phenomenal. And Theo gets his second consecutive race win of the season. And it's been 1.5 hours, so credit to the drivers. Absolute brilliant racing. Capstock gets P2 and continues his podium streak. Elite Dave P3, debut podium for him. Callum gets P4 and fastest lap with a 44.9 before the rain came. Portuguese P5 and Marty P6. Lennon gets P7. P8 for Big Racky. Jax Daniels P9 and Armour D rounds off the top 10. Giza P11 and Terry's rounds off the grid with P12. We've lost Catamese Cats, Darky and Jalaka. And I've been talking for an hour and a half straight. I didn't know I could do it, but I've done it. And that's it for race 3. Next week, we are at the Circuit de Catalunya in Spain for our second mandatory tyre race of the season. Back to 50% race length. And I think a lot of drivers will be happy to see the back of this. But like I say, applause to all the drivers involved today. Those that have and haven't finished. And see you all again next week. Where hopefully I will have my voice. My name is Alex. This is Lights Out League Racing. Peace out.